Ben Shapiro is here, host of the Ben Shapiro Show. Ben, great to have you on set. Good to see you.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Great to see you. You know, what's your overall takeaway as you look at this, and particularly with a view to what we have seen as anti-Semitism and the anti-Semitic problem in New York City?
I mean, I think that many of the things that people are seeing as sort of a bug of the Mamdani campaign, how could he be elected while saying all these anti-Semitic things? That's a feature. The progressive left, the wild progressive left that was tapped in the primaries and then spurred him to victory in the general. That progressive left is very, very fond of anti-Semitism. They're totally fine with not only anti-Israel feeling, but obviously with a candidate for mayor who said to you on the show that he obviously doesn't really care whether Hamas disarms. Like that was something that he didn't mind talking about, which is kind of an incredible thing.
You know, when you break this vote down, not just in New York City, in Virginia and New Jersey as well, we see this young vote, massive young vote, supporting Democrats. And when we came out of 2024, the message was really that there was this resurgence of sort of young conservatives out there. So what's going on? So
I think what the polling is showing is that young people in particular are just unsettled. And what that means is that if they don't get what they want from one party, then they're going to swivel and they will turn and they will vote for the other party. So Joe Biden was very unpopular. The inflation had really eaten away at people's livelihoods. And so people turned in favor of President Trump. I think that there are some warning signs here for young voters for 2026, even 2028, depending on the performance of the Trump administration. But one of the things that you're seeing with Mamdani, one of the things that you're seeing with I think a lot of politicians these days is if you just say the problem but don't offer a solution, that might be enough. If you just say affordability, 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 and then your solutions are absolutely ridiculous, like tried and true failures, people don't care about the solutions. They just care that you empathize with the problem. The problem is that if you never solve it, then you are going to continue to see this kind of pendulum swing for young people from right to left and then back to right and then back to left.
It's like a generation of people, this is a big generalization, but who want to hear that they're seen.
Yes, yes. And also who have been told.
As long as you feel seen, it's okay.
I think that's right. And I think they've been also told by their politicians, only I can solve the problem. So I see your problem, and it's not solvable by you. It's only solvable by me. And then, inevitably, it's not solvable by politicians. And then people get dissatisfied, so they turn to, the other politician. And, I'm sort of waiting for more candidates to arise who say, actually, most of the problems in your own life are solvable by you, actually. And you should take more actions in your own life to make it better.
I'm curious what you think about Mamdani and his rhetoric and the speech last night, which the beginning of it was a lot of thank yous and hope for the future. And then all of a sudden it kind of took this pretty dramatic turn. And that did not go unnoticed by Van Jones. Watch.
The Mamdani that we saw on the campaign trail, who was a lot more calm, who was a lot warmer, who was a lot more embracing, was not present in that speech. His tone was sharp. I think he was using the microphone in a way that he was almost yelling. And that's not the Mamdani that we've seen on TikTok and the great interviews and stuff like that. So I felt like there's a little bit of a character switch here.
Sharp, and that he noted kind of a bit of a character switch. What do you think happened now that Mamdani is relieved from the burden of the campaign?
I think that he is saying all the quiet parts out loud now. I mean, he was largely through the campaign, but you could kind of gloss it with the smarmy smile and all of that. But now he's just saying everything out loud. I mean, the line in that speech where he said that government should be involved in literally every problem in your life and care about even the smallest things is full-scale frightening to anybody who has any historical knowledge of how government has interacted with citizens historically. And when he went through, and the only people he was citing as authorities were Eugene V. Debs, an actual socialist, and Nehru, another actual socialist from India, and on a non-aligned party during the Cold War. I mean, it really does speak to what Mamdani wants to do. He says he's a Muslim and a socialist, and he's going to brag about those things. He's not going to be shy about those things. I mean, listen, we all know that he's a Muslim. We all know that he's a socialist. But the fact that he is proclaiming that capitalism is the problem in the financial center of planet Earth does not bode particularly well for the future of this city.
You like to debate people who you have some disagreements with. Are you going to offer to sit down with him and have a discussion?
I'd be more than happy to ask him some difficult questions, but you did a great job at that yourself. So.
Well, thank you, Ben. I would look forward to seeing your version as well. It's always good to see you, Ben Shapiro.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.